Kellen. And today I think this is going to go on Diversified Game, but if you see it on any of my other platforms, Kellen Kash Work Break Conversations, it's just because I need everybody to hear this. I'm going to be sharing this story for those of you who say you want to live the African dream. I don't have Akeem, but I have OE on, and he is going to give us the game because I got connected through him because his grandmother is going for sainthood and has hooked me up in Sierra Leone and just cleared my mind. But he has lived in Africa. His father is a full-blown Nigerian, does business, but we're going to always promote Africa, but also talk about the realistic, Africa, not the dream that so many of you say, oh, I just can't wait till I get to Africa and all my problems that you're going to bring with you to Africa. Just they won't all end in Africa. Some will, but not all. So welcome to the show, my bruv. How you doing?
No, I'm good. This year's been amazing. Coming out of just the world being closed down, and it's crazy how everything's being portrayed, just even in South Africa, and how like lockdowns are still happening there. And speaking to my mom and how she's living out there compared to like in the US. But yeah, everything has been good this year.
When the pandemic started, were you already in the States or were you still in South Africa?
So yeah, I moved to the States in 2016. Born and raised in South Africa, Johannesburg specifically. Grew up in the suburbs of like Bryanston, Paulsdorp, if you want to get into the specifics. But yeah, I grew up in the suburbs. Went to the school called Rivonia Primary School. And instead of middle school in the States, it's called primary school. Then I moved to, like, it was my high school year, 11th grade. I was done in South Africa, moved to the States to finish my senior year. And yeah, I just wanted to pursue my dream of becoming a basketball player. And it was just interesting taking a jump because of the basketball still blowing up in Africa as a whole. And I want to get into like the NBA moving to Africa, like, and them forming their own league, because this should have been happening 10, 20 years ago. It should have already been a thing, and the NBA shouldn't have had to come in for that to have been established. But in South Africa, I was like player there, and I wanted to take my skills to LA and like test that out and see if I like could actually compete like with the best of the best. So yeah, I moved out to LA in 2016, end of the year. Went to Beverly Hills High School. That's like, even like going to Beverly Hills High School is like, it was such a culture shock for me. My mom's from LA, so I've kind of like lost my accent in a way, but even when I was younger, I always had like a little bit of an American accent, and just watching American TV, even being in South Africa, was so interesting. And listening to all the slang, and yeah, it was just interesting how the cultures are so different but similar in some ways.
Very, very, very. Let me ask, because I can already, somebody's going to ask. They're going to say, wait, but he sounds like he is an American, but he was born and raised in South Africa. Can you let the people know, nationality wise, because is it like America? Because I don't think South Africa has the same rules. Like if you're born in America, you're an American. Do they give you a South African citizenship residency, or do they see you kind of as an outsider if your parents aren't South African?
So I was granted like immediate citizenship in South Africa specifically. So on my passport, even now, it says on my American passport, it says born in South Africa, Johannesburg. So yeah, I was immediately given citizenship, and then my dad is Nigerian. But as soon as I was born, I was also given American citizenship. I think they changed the rule now when it comes to getting citizenship, because my mom you have to have lived within the States. Like my mom would have had to have lived within the States in a certain time period for me to get citizenship, like nowadays. But it's changed now. That rule's changed, and you can get yeah.
Okay. So, I guess South Africa would call them anchor babies, whatnot. Like in America, when people come over here, usually just to work, y'all, and try to make it happen.
Yeah.
Now, talking about the NBA in Africa, I've only seen the advertising. I haven't been able to go to a game. Have you been able to check out a game? Have you been able to see like the opportunities for it just starting? I don't know if South Africa even had a team.
Do you mean like a national team or just?
Well, like I know they have a national team for the Olympics, but with the NBA coming to Africa, the way that I vision it, I'm going to be like, okay, we're going to have the South African, Golden State Warriors or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah. So
it
that's
has
what
it
I
hasn't
mean.
it hasn't really been advertised in that way. I think the biggest things have been like Basketball Without Borders that have come to South Africa specifically. When I was at the school, like high school I went to, they came to my high school, and the year before I was there, and they came the year after, and even on the courts, NBA painted on our courts Basketball Without Borders. The hoops and everything were sponsored by the NBA, and yeah, Kyrie Irving killing it right now. But he was in like my school. I saw pictures like of him playing on the same court. So like just seeing that inspiration and like seeing players, Joel Embiid, he was at the exact same camp, I think during 2012, 2013, like during that same time. And it's just crazy to see like his dream becoming a reality and him like being a star player in the NBA like he is now. And it makes I fully see the impact of like what he's doing. Giannis Antetokounmpo, like what he's doing, being in the NBA and being a Nigerian-born player in the NBA.
Okay. So it's not there yet. I didn't know.
No,
I was like, man, when we get all the teams and they start, really pushing it, but everything in small steps. And that's it's a beautiful thing. I mean, yeah, I think it should have happened a long time ago. I think if you're going to call yourself like world champions, you should play the world personally. That's my opinion. Kind of like the World Cup, right? The World Cup, you got to play the world.
yeah,
Only in America does our world stop at Canada, and LA. We don't even let Mexico get in the game. Don't even let Cuba get in the game. Dominican Republic, let them play since we're taking their players. Tell me, when you talk to Americans and you tell them you grew up in South Africa, um, the education have things improved? Because you're 20, 22. I remember when they were telling people, oh, your English is so well. And even now,
yeah.
when I tell people I'm a dual, citizen, they're like, "Oh, how long have you been here?" I'm like, "Man, I'm from here. You better. I built this. What you talking about? My folks built this."
Yeah.
So, talk about just how your, kind of the feedback Americans overall give you, and then how do Black Americans receive you? Because their world might be a little different, and to hear Africa is like, oh, but they might tell you what white folks tell me. You speak so well, like Riley in the Boondocks. So how is it when you say I'm from South Africa?
I think to the average person, until they really hear my background and just hear the experiences that I've had, then you can fully get the gist. But I would speak to like a story of when I was younger and I visited LA, and it was interesting because my mom was from LA and I was like a little kid. I was like 7 years old, and I was telling my cousins like, "Oh, I'm South African," and they kind of felt sorry for me. They were like, "You're from South Africa? It's like shame. You're not gonna have you're probably like staying in like some small little shack." I'm sure in their heads, or you're like, "Are you riding elephants to school?" and like all these kind of things. But then when they heard my English, it's like, "Oh, are you from England? Are you like are you from these places?" And for me, I was like so confused. I'm like, if only in my head, I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like I live, I think a really good life." We had like a pretty like big house in South Africa. Like the real estate that you can get out there for the price, amazing. Some houses that are better than the States, like anywhere in the States. But how people receive me now, I would say I would have to, yeah, everyone thinks I just speak really like proper, and Black Americans, I think, like African Americans specifically, they receive me as like an outsider too, in a way, like because culturally I never like grew up in the hood. I don't have that. My like dad instilled this in me. I don't have that. Like I went to Morehouse College, which is an HBCU in Atlanta, and I saw this like prevalently, like people trying to like claim that they were like from the hood and like really be in that struggle. Like, and if you weren't in that part of like some sort of struggle, like growing up, then you're not Black, and that's like how you prove your Blackness in a way, which is crazy to think of. It's like, why do I have to be hard to be Black?
But you can get it a double portion, because Africans may look at you and you might not be ever African enough because you didn't go through the struggle. Maybe you didn't have to go get your water and wash your clothes and wear, and share clothes. So it's like something about that struggle. Everybody wants to tell the struggle story. Everybody was homeless at one point, right? Whatever homeless the definition is, because white folks, Black, everybody, if you talk Chinese folks, oh no, you're from, this part of China. And if you have friends from all over, you're like, oh, all people want to have that conqueror warrior story. We're just in our circle where we might see more Black folk. So you're as Black as anybody else. You had nothing to do about that. Thank God. How do you conquer, immigrants? When they come over here, they win because they understand I got to work hard because no one's giving me anything. When you come here, do you get that privilege, or do you have to go back to South Africa to get your American privilege, is what I call it. And we definitely get it when we open our mouth in Africa,
I would say, and it's interesting for me because I'm technically literally three nationalities, and I have like these three different perspectives, and I grew up in all these three different areas. I like to reference myself as like one of my favorite fighters, Israel Adesanya, has this like tattooed like on him, and I relate to it so much. He born and raised in Nigeria, moved out to New Zealand, and his tattoo says broken native. And that's honestly how I feel in a way too. Like wherever I go in the world, I know that I won't, like I will always stand out wherever I am in the world. And you can't put me in a box. And I think a lot of the times, like we try to be like, this is what a South African should be like. This is what a Nigerian should be like. This is what this type of an American should be like. And for me, when I go to South Africa, then I'm a foreigner. When I come to America, like I'm an immigrant. And when I go to Nigeria, I'm an immigrant because I don't speak the languages either. My dad is from the Igbo tribe, and like in Nigeria specifically. And I still like get mad at him until this day that he didn't teach me like growing up. My mom like would. Because now when I go back to Nigeria, it's like I don't have that relatability to my family, like my dad's side of the family, because I can't communicate with them the way I would want to. But yeah, it's just like being like a broken native in that way, and embracing it. That's been the biggest thing.
Well, you said he was Igbo, and hold on. Toby, shout out. I gotta do that for my super Eagles out there. They know I love Toby and Fat, but it's interesting that you say that, because in a place where Black Americans run to the Caribbean or run to Africa and say, "Oh, I belong," but you're still not a local, and you might never be. Like your mindset, you've been exposed to, maybe it's the future. How did you like settle mentally with that? Because growing up, kids are always trying to fit in. Young people are always trying to fit in and get in where we fit in. And you talk funny in all places. I can relate. How did you get over that hump to be comfortable with that, if you've even got there yet?
I would say maybe when I was younger, like even the name that I have, Owe. My full name is Owe Lavior. Um, and when a teacher would like raise, like same thing in class, like if a teacher would say my name, even in South Africa, it's like no one knew how to pronounce it. And that has always been like a key sign for me, like you're different. You're different. It's okay. Like it's okay to be different. It's okay to be different. And the structure that my parents gave me, both my parents, and just telling me, my dad telling me his history and his culture, and even taking me to Nigeria and meeting like my family, his side of the family, and just getting rooted in who I am. Same thing with my able to travel and like see both perspectives, and the strong like rootedness that my parents gave me, and belief in myself, like no victim mentality. A lot of people have like a victim mentality in so many different aspects of their lives, but I just fully embraced like who I was and who I am as a person. And it's a continuing journey. It's a continuing journey. And like the older I've gone, the more comfortable I've gone. When I was younger, I was like very dark. I still am, and like that was a struggle in itself. Like I don't know if people like get into this, and it's crazy in Africa. How can it's the same thing I would say in America? Like light skins, for some people they're like worshipped compared to like darker complexion people, and it's like especially with women too as well. That's the thing that Black people put against each other, and it's frustrating as a kid because it's like, oh, I don't want to be in the sun, or like, oh, I want to, like I had some friends in high school that I know that like took bleaching cream, and so this is in South Africa, um like dark, like a little bit lighter than me, which is crazy. I'm like, and it goes to just like the complex that a lot of people have. And again, my dad would just kind of brainwash me with that positivity, like you are blessed and you are important, and um you are amazing, just like continuously in my head. And it's like it's stuck. Like no one could tell me that I'm not great now.
Mm-hmm.
But also just like seeing the world for myself. Like South Africa's I love South Africa, but don't get me wrong, like there's so many pitfalls that it has. Like with the diversity of the different tribes of Zulu, Xhosa, Ndebele, and all this diversity, there's still wars that are happening in the country, like due to xenophobia. Like literally Africans. So like let's say you're Zimbabwean and you immigrate to South Africa specifically. There's people that are being killed because of they're the neighboring country. Same thing, and not the same thing, but like how Americans are getting annoyed with like the Mexico border. Of obviously, if you immigrate somewhere legally and you're there and you're just bettering the country in that way, like you should be appreciative of that. And that's not happening. Like if there's no right way, you can't justify like killing someone. And that's some of the atrocities that are happening in South Africa that isn't being publicized in the news. And it frustrates me. I was actually speaking about this like with my mom, but it's just this balance of understanding the history, because just all the tribal wars that were going on between the different tribes, and that the mentality of like the people, like if I'm from this tribe, like I feel like I'm better than you, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like I know in China they do this like quite a bit. It's like my family name has importance. Like even if I am like wealthy and I don't have a specific last name, then I'm not seen as good in a way. If that makes sense.
No, it definitely. It's like a. like a form of like a caste system. I mean, your name globally follows you. You know, Nipsey Hussle would talk about it, man. He'd say, you know, last time that I checked, there was no smut on my name. You know, Dame Dash talks about how he doesn't hustle for his first name, but his last. And he even in his latest movie put Stacey Dash, who he was beefing with. So your name means a lot, especially when you are a traveler, because you can say a name. I say my wife's name throughout every Cameroonian. Oh, I know one of them. Okay. Yeah, you know a Famanki. Put some respect on it. That's how I want my name and my kid's name, you know, to be and whatnot. So let me ask, when you're here in the US, when you're in Joburg, you always hear about the violence. And the violence in Joburg is nothing like the violence in Chicago or Oakland or LA, but it's, you know, it's not really normal. Where do you feel most safe, most secure? In Africa? You pick the country, or in America, or somewhere else?
When you say that crime wise, just crime wise in general, like when I'm just
Crime wise, or just, you know, where you feel safe, like where's your place? Your place to be like, yeah, I blend right here. This is my happy place.
that's like such a interesting question. Where I blend.
Oh,
General, which is, can you hear me? Yeah.
okay, I got you. I got
Yeah.
you.
I would say the basketball court, because I've always, there's like game is game, like within the basketball court. But I'll go into the different, like in LA specifically. I feel safe. Like yesterday, I ran in the streets, but it's different because I would say like when I'm running in LA, like this, I'll tell you a story of like what happened. And this like it kind of hurt me. I was doing this when I was like 3 years ago. I was doing Postmates, delivering food, going and delivering food. You can hear me, right? Still good, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. I was going and delivering food, literally in a like a residential area. Buzzed on the door. This like white lady comes out. I think she like thought I was maybe trying to like rob her or something like this. And this happened in LA. And she was just like shocked and just like had a heart attack in that way. And I'm like, damn, like that sucks that I have to not that I have to do anything. It's just like people perceive me as this. And you can like take that in many ways, but I just look at it like that's just the reality of what people see in the media, and how like black people are portrayed just in America, even in LA. Like it's possible for that to happen, but I try to like use that as a positive outlook. At the end of the day, I was not robbing her, and I was not like impacting her in that way, and just went about my day. But it's like those kind of things that do leave scars in your head in a way. But with regards to South Africa too, I can't just roam around like the streets at all. You can't just be walking around like at night like the same way that I can in LA. Like if I go out with my friends in South Africa, you have to pick up an Uber at the location where you left. You can't just be like around the streets. But like Nigeria, you can, like which is so interesting. Like South Africa is like such a like extreme, whereas like Nigeria, I actually like feel like somewhat the most safe in terms of when I've been in Africa in general. Like there's no, not that there is no crime, but you don't hear of it, and it's not as brutal as it is in South Africa specifically. The stuff that happens. So I would say the most safe, like LA and Nigeria. Yeah, Nigeria, the most safe. But when I was in Atlanta, it was interesting. I was at an HSBCU all black college, and you would think that'd be the most safe, but it's like crime, and like there was, if I went 3 4 blocks, there's people like that are gang banging, and like just the realness of it. And then I didn't feel, yeah, I just did not feel safe like in those environments, because it's like I just did not know what was going on, and it was so much more like territorial. So that's how the tribal wars that I was speaking about in South Africa, it's happening in the U.S. like right now, and that's something that people don't even go into. There's still red and blue, like people that are gravitating towards these things that at the end of the day don't really matter. It's like we're all people at the end of the day.
At
Yeah.
all. They don't matter. And that's why, in America, many folks are caught up in the black and white, the if that's your world, there's people who they're not worried about that. They're more, Mexicans might be worried about folks from Honduras or Colombia or something taking their jobs, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
crazy how man is. And if you wake up a little bit, you can say, you know what, I can make more money being in all these circles, if you have something to give the people. Now you want to have an ad agency. Tell the people why an ad agency. What sparked you? Was it your father, or was it a TV show you watched to say, I want an ad agency, that looks cool?
I think, yeah, it was a little bit of my dad, but also just being on YouTube and just being on the internet. Like people my age, we've been on the internet and like just grown up with the internet. And we just fully, I think, get the internet and just get the way it works and the opportunities that there is on the internet. My dad's still like, when I speak about advertising, he's like, show it to me, like prove it to me. And I'm in that process of understanding what I want to do in my advertising agency and like what niches I want to get into, and just proving the results. Because a lot of people like, oh, marketing can work, but it's like you have to understand marketing, because there's a lot of dollars that are wasted in marketing. Um, but I just got into experiment, like having my dad always told me, and so did my mom, they were like, experiment with everything. I think a lot of people aren't doing that enough, like in this day and age. Like we're not getting out of your comfort zone. Like, do I like this kind of thing? So I was doing drop shipping, which is basically, if your viewers aren't familiar about it, it's you. I would create a website, and advertise a specific product, and until you purchase that website, then I would get the product from like a third party, and then just send it directly to you. And I was experimenting with that, advertising with that, advertising on like my own page, like a little bit, advertising on other Instagram pages, and just experimenting on like what works, what doesn't work. Then I was doing, I tried day trading for a little bit. I tried like doing poker for a little bit. I was playing on 4 different tables at once. Like this is while I was in college, like for 2 months, there were days where I would make $200 in a day, and just like the high of that, then you would lose $100 in a day. Um, but then how like I stuck with advertising and like went back to doing advertising was just there's no, the business model of advertising for someone is like you get paid to do the work before anything happens. So it's like you would pay me first and then I do the work. It's like I like the way, if depending on how you set up your advertising agency, I could like my fee could include the spend, the ad spend that you'd be spending on whatever you're advertising for. So it's like realistically there isn't really any overhead for me. It's just the knowledge and the service that I provide and that I know. And that's what I love about it. And also the other thing I love about it is it's location independent. Like I can advertise, I specifically advertise on social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and I've been learning Google Ads now, which has been cool and interesting at my job currently. But it's like I can travel to South Africa, I could travel to Nigeria when my business is like fully running, and be in these different places. Like and just get that exposure from the world that I like fully desire and like fully like want to get. Because I feel like, and I had this conversation with my grandma. She spoke about whether it's, and people always like to stereotype with like people, because I actually brought this up, and she checked me on that. I was like, people in Compton haven't like even been to the beach, and then she was like, people in Beverly Hills haven't even been to like the East Coast or like these type of places. So it's like just people in general in America haven't traveled. So it's not like it's just black people haven't traveled. It's like people in general in America are just in this bubble. And I feel like for people to expand their horizons and just grow as people, and you grow the most. Whenever I speak to someone, they honestly don't believe that I'm 22 just because of the like life experience and the experimentation that I've had in my life. But it's grown me the most. So that's why I gravitate towards like having an advertising agency, because the world is my oyster and I want to explore it like through advertising and just be location independent. Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you something I wish somebody would have told me at 22, because I knew I wanted to do what I'm doing now since I was like 12. I wrote the vision down and I made it plain. But what they did not tell me, which later down the line when someone said, you're not a publicist, you're a business manager, you're rocking deals. Yeah, you can put something on Forbes if you want, and you can pitch them and do all of that. You have all the equipment and the software. You've automated this thing. I used to tell my team, it's a small team, but I'm like, I don't need y'all. I like the people that I work with, but I don't need you. I can have these technology do everything for me. It can create my thumbnails. It can repurpose my stuff. It can do, Cision and Meltwater and Muckrack can do a lot. But what I wish somebody would have told me was, okay, it might start with advertising, but at the end of the day, when you do automate it, now you are whether you want to call yourself a speaker, a consultant, because you're telling a company, this is what you have to do. This is what it's going to cost you. We're going to do it all for you. Make sure it stays on point. It's going to make you more money. But I already see that there's other things you're going to be able to tell that company. As soon as you stop giving them ads and you start telling them extra stuff, you are now a consultant, maybe a business manager. And those are titles that come naturally. So you set yourself up, especially when you have, multiple citizenships, because one company might power another company. I'll tell you more offline if you want to know. But, in America, you can't make too much money or they'll take it. So you might need to go make another company and build it up and hey, this is what this money is going to. And we're all in the same area, but it's different companies, different places. Sometimes it's not even you being a majority owner. You put your wife on when you get there, in 7 to 10 years, I'll say. You put your kids on and let them bubble and learn the business. But that's what since, because you want to be anywhere you want to be. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship and the type of business that I'm in. I have businesses that are dormant that I'd have to like really be there, and I'd love to own a restaurant, but until I find that right chef that I can just invest in, I'm not trying to be at the restaurant every day. I'm not trying to be anywhere but my house looking at my kids and my wife every day. That's only place I really want to have to be. So I just throw that out there. When you start putting your capability statements together and when you structure and read all the books, I got a book every week. I got a new book for you if you ever want a book. And you just put that game and say, I'm free is what you're really looking for. Advertising is just what you're calling it, but you just want the freedom to do what you need to do. That's what I take, at least. That's what I hear when I hear that.
No, definitely. Whatever, it doesn't have to necessarily be specifically only advertisements. And I completely agree with that. Like again, if opportunity is knocking at my door, I'd be foolish not to take it, or just like an opportunity. And I think that's one of my biggest qualities that I love about I love about myself, is just like even if I don't feel like I'm ready to do something, I'll still do it, and just jump at that. And I wish more people would do it, because it's like, you have a cool story, even if it doesn't work out. It's like no one's. It's like when I first started applying for jobs, I thought it, like, all of, like, every little thing had to be perfect, and if this wasn't perfect, I would not get the job. Where it's like, just shoot that shot, Like, I kind of, like, a lot of the times, like, just use analogies in all aspects of my life, like, and I compare it to basketball. Like, for me, like, there's so many comparisons. It's like, if I'm at the half court line and I'm just shooting a shot, of course it's not going to go in. But if I keep shooting that shot, it's eventually going to go in. And then I'll understand, like, oh no, let me just position myself here and actually get closer to the basket, because I've learned this knowledge of shooting that shot, and like, how to shoot that shot. Then it's going to go in more consistently, and just doing that when it comes to business too, and positioning yourself in different ways. And, oh, I did a meeting like this and they perceived me like this. How can I position myself better? So what I would also do in general, like when I was interviewing, was record myself, like, again, using technology, record myself and use the voice memos app, and like listen to my interviews again. And it's like, if I made a mistake or I didn't understand this question, go back. Or like, if I sounded hesitant answering a question, it's like, you'd rather sound like you know what you're saying than just like be hesitant about it. So it's kind of that. On my Instagram, I have my bio is delusional confidence, and a lot of the times, like, the confidence will take you to places that you couldn't imagine. You might not even have the skill, but it's like, if you can present yourself and just carry yourself and just fully own your being, the opportunities are endless. Yeah.
I definitely understand when you open your mind to, take the red pill and live that life. But I will tell people, because somebody young will hear you. And I've have some young team members that we've had to correct throughout the decades of doing this type of business. You know what you know, but I tell people it's okay if you don't know. And I'd rather you, especially when speaking on my name, to say, I don't know, but I can find out, rather than assume. Because when you talk to somebody who really knows, they'll ask you what the next question is, and then they'll make you look like a jackleg, and nobody wants to look like that. And the scriptures tell us too much information, man. It can make you go insane. You don't want to know every single thing. Leave some knowledge for some people. I don't know what Cardi B is doing, or Lizzo. I got people who they keep me informed, but I don't know. I don't really want to know. And nothing bad about them. It's just they live in a world that's not in my bubble. It's just it's not even anything that I would find. It's like if you're a cognac drinker and somebody tries to give you a beer, like, I drink cognac, or I drink gin too. I drink it all, folks. If you want to send me a gift or come on the show and give me alcohol, like High Castle Gin did, shout out to them. But it's okay not to know. And I know a lot of like elders, 65 and over, they say, you guys think you know everything. And I'm like, you millennials. And I'm like the start of millennial. Like, I'm hanging at the start, the birth of millennials. Yeah. And I'm like, it's not that we know everything, but these computers, I would break things to build them back. And these computers opened up knowledge that you just haven't explored. Plus, Miles Monroe told us, read a book a week, see how that changes your life. And it does change your life. Sometimes I got to force myself to listen to a book or literally read a book. But the knowledge that I have, that's going to make me $10,000 at least this week. And that's why I'm playing that game. You talked about a poker game. You ever seen that Matt Damon movie, Rounders?
No, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. No.
Oh, you got to watch that. That will show you the difference between a young person and then the elder trying to put the young person on. Young person's willing to take all the risk. The elder is trying to pay bills, mortgages. I think Kash said rent, school for my kids. You're trying to live this pipe dream, he told the kid, and try to go to Vegas. I'm showing you how to make a living. And neither one is wrong. You just got to be, as an entrepreneur, you got to be willing to be broke. You got to be willing to be homeless, especially in the beginning, if you're going to put it all on the line, which I don't recommend people do that. It's okay to have a job until you're there where you've surpassed your job. Or if you're like me, you're not going to last more than 2.5 years at this job because you have ideas and the boss, no matter who the boss is, they're going to look at you like, you ain't going to make it. You ain't gonna make it, and I don't want to make it. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say this to people too. Like, it's like if you have a vision to being so for me, it's like advertising. I want to explore this path, and I don't know where that's going to lead me. But it's like I can position myself at an advertising agency, which I'm currently at right now, learning the skills. Like, a lot of people don't do that. They'll take on jobs where you're not learning anything. Like, if I had to stay at this job for the next 4 years, I can, first of all, I can climb ranks and learn skill that's going to take me places. And it's like I'm developing myself as a person. A lot of people, at least when they get jobs, they'll get like any job, and it's like you'd rather position yourself to get a job where you're learning a skill, or you're able to have the free time to learn a skill. It's like finding that balance. And like looking back at like myself, I'd be like, yeah, I'm still young, but there's so many ways you can do that. And it's like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's like best ways have a mentor, that's someone who's making it or like in the process of doing it. And if you can get paid, like join a startup and see what that process is like, and like fully get into that and see is this like, cause some people genuinely aren't cut out to be an entrepreneur. Like, and you have to go through that. You have to get beat down. Like, you're going to get beat down. I've been gotten beat down, like doing sales calls, getting rejected over and over again. Like, even where I'm at right now, like the journey that it took me to get there, I was working at this company selling office supplies door to door, but I got tricked. They played the game on me, and I thought it was going to be a marketing company. This was literally a year ago, January, and I like quit something else to do this job, and I'm like put all my eggs in a basket to do this job, and it's like I didn't know the game of applying for jobs, and I didn't know of like researching the company, like what do they actually do, like what does their website look like. And I was excited. I'm like, damn, I got a marketing job. And it's like, it wasn't actually a marketing job. And then I had to bite my bullet. And yeah. But it's like people would get.
Don't feel bad. We've all been there. So many folks have you because the way they position it I'll say for the newspaper, because it was back in them days, you're like, no, you said it's PR. Or even online, I've seen people say PR or marketing, and I'm like, that's Vector. Vector doesn't do PR marketing. You are the PR and marketing, door to door or calling. So yeah, we've been there. The difference for me, I was blessed to be around entertainment in California. And I was blessed just to, be like nothing special. Like, I didn't know anybody, but I remember speaking to a group of like 10 of us, and we're going around for Wilhelmina. For those of you who remember the modeling agency, I believe it's still strong, but they used to have people who are lawyers. I talked to a brother, he was 15, 20 years older than me. He was a lawyer. And I'm like, hey, this doesn't sound about right. He's like, nah, it's some bull. But just hang around. We're trying to learn something in this day that you and I are going to be here, because I'm not doing this. I'm a lawyer. I'm like, you're a lawyer? And he in San Francisco. And he was like, yeah, but we're trying to get in. Now, this is like Backstreet Boys kind of time, right? So Wilhelmina and all them, I believe, were connected, and they were selling us on something. But don't feel bad, because that's an experience. Feel bad if you get fooled twice. That's when you feel bad. Like, I didn't ask the right questions. That's when you kick yourself, because it's just like dating. You might have one bad relationship. You might have one good one. But the thing about it is, not everybody's cut out to be a husband. You got to be able to be responsible for the whole ship. And it's not a lot of men nowadays, especially in America, who are even groomed to need to take care of the whole ship. Not meaning that she might make more money than you, at some point, but you still got to be able to be cool with that and take care of the whole ship. Whether you make no money or you got, $100 million of Bitcoin stashed somewhere, and you can't act it.
So what do you,
Go ahead.
What do you mean when you say take care of the whole ship? Then just like take care of.
So
I'll go for it.
I'm a semi-pro date doctor. 4 couples connected, married, right? When I tell guys, whether you are working at the gas station and your woman might be making more money, that's that's common. But she might make more money than you. You still have to be able to pay the bills. And if you guys combine your money, which I always recommend people to do if they're doing life together, you guys combine the money, but you should still take care of the bills, because naturally, for men, that's like our place, right? We gotta, and she might be better than budgeting. Let me flip it. If she's better than budgeting, you should still know how this ship operates. The captain doesn't do everything, but he should at least have common knowledge of, if this thing breaks in the bow, I know how to fix it. If there's a leak here, I know how to fix it. I might not be the one fixing it, but I at least can instruct you or tell you who should. So I've only dated educated, smart women. Even when I was, a teenager, all the women around me were brilliant geniuses. You might beat me in one area, but I still have to be able to take care of the ship and take care of the waves in the ship, because most women are emotional, more emotional than men. And you should be able to see that wave of emotion coming. If you got an emotional woman, I can see the wave coming. My father-in-law says, I can see more sitting down than you can see standing up on this table. I think that's a cold line. That's that Cameroon game right there, but representing fully for those who are watching. But that's where you got to be able to, we hear high value man. And I know a lot of influencers, so I don't have to name drop for what I do in life. But there's nothing wrong with being high value, but your paycheck ain't what makes you high value. And if everything else isn't taken care of, because people think, I made 6 figures. Like I've seen, and I've talked to plumbers. I made 6 figures. I'm a high value man. No, a plumber ain't never been a high value man. But I tell you what is an entrepreneur. You can be an entrepreneur plumber, and you can be very high value, right? But you can't be working for somebody else in the poop of things, and just because you made 6 figures, think you can come home and tell a woman whatever you want to tell her and she got to listen. First of all, your own kids don't listen to you like that. If you're being honest, these are people you're dealing with. So you have to set up a system to where Papa shouldn't have to beat you, because if Papa come in and raise his voice, you guys already know you messed up. That's game tight. You can't get that game on Skid Row or Figueroa. And I know something about it, so I can talk about it in multiple ways. And that's the beauty of what I do. You can't tell me, because you don't understand the struggle. You don't know me. I'll tell you the struggle. I'll tell it to you, but I'll also tell you what it is to, kick back in luxury as a kid, because I got the best of both worlds. So, I just throw that out there. When you do get, relationships are a lot like business. You need to be upfront who you are and honest. And then you also need to tell somebody, no, I don't do that. And that's not what we do around me. And if you want to do that stuff, you're more than welcome. The door is out there. Tira la puerta. In case, because some tell me you might have a Spanish mommy or two in the Rolodex, in the phone. So, you got to have that Spanish. Tira la puerta, mami. Cállate la boca.
I have a girlfriend now, and this is my first serious relationship. It's honestly been amazing, because I was so picky in choosing the right kind of woman. And I feel like people don't and this is speaking for like most people. Most people are just willing to tolerate a whole bunch of stuff, and they don't set boundaries, like clear and cut boundaries of this is what I'm not willing to tolerate, and this is what I am. And like if you cross that boundary, like cool, I'm gonna go, and like just like voicing that, even sometimes voicing that, um, and just being honest. But yeah, I completely agree. Like most guys aren't honest with it, and they're scared. They're in this scarcity mindset when it comes to all facets of their life. They're scarce. They're scarce in their money. They're scarce in the way that they carry themselves, and they don't believe that they could potentially get another woman. They don't believe that they could get another client. Like it's like that belief in yourself. So like before it comes to the woman or the business like avenue that you're chasing, it's like what belief do you have in yourself? And that's like why I'm like always rooted in meditation, and like I've been praying way more like with God. I don't go to church as much, but I'm building my relationship with God and just building that personal relationship in prayer, and just getting more in tune with myself, like journaling. And because you can't, it's like your home has to be clean, and your home is like your brain inside has to be clean before you can even do anything out in the world and help the world and just make the world a better place. Because I would constantly try to do that, like put people on game, but it's like no one's going to trust me like when I haven't showed the results, or they feel like they haven't showed the results. Like now, like when I speak, um it holds dividends. I can feel the feeling. It's a completely different feeling, because it's like I'm putting it into reality. But like that shift didn't happen for me until I just like fully started getting more in tune with myself. And don't get me wrong, it's a forever evolving journey. It's like that's life. Like you're gonna be forever evolving. But it's like if you don't put that effort and like work on your mental health and like fully dive into it, and like dive into the way that you're feeling, just observing yourself and like not judging your thoughts, and trying these different avenues. Like there's this thing called Kundalini yoga. I did it yesterday. I don't know if you've ever done it or heard of it. But it's amazing, like amazing stuff. It primarily focuses on like breath work. And when you're doing this breath work, like nothing else matters in that moment. And you're doing like the most, if you search Kundalini yoga for 15 minutes, you're going to do some of the, like this weird breath work where you're like sticking your arms up, your tongue's out. You're like, you're probably going to be like, what the hell am I doing? You do that after you can get in tune with your body in that way, you just feel amazing. You feel like a kid again. Like I've cried like doing Kundalini yoga, because it just like brings out that suppressed emotion that's been beat down. Because it's like, even with what we're speaking about now, like woman and money, I think this is all surface level stuff at the end of the day, if you're asking me. Like because it goes deep, it cuts deeper. And when you go deeper, like it's like you have to form your structure, and your structure is yourself and your being, and just the way that you think. What are your morals? Like what are my morals? And I know I want to be honest with myself and with other people, and the integrity that I have with myself. Like if I say I'm going to do something, if I say I'm going to be on this recording at 3, like I'm there. If I can't make it, then I'm going to message you before. If I can't do these things, it's like these little things matter, and people forget that. Like no matter what like race you are, no matter what kind of person you are, it's like I hate this. It's like people speak about like black people time, like fuck that. Like excuse my French, but um we need a black people time needs to be represented as on time now. Like why does it have to be like black people are always late? And I think these are things that stereotypes that are funny, but the truth is like most jokes have like a funny truth to it. And it's like sometimes we need to mitigate these stereotypes, and like there needs to be a new stereotype. It's like Asians are always doctors, and Indians are always lawyers, like I want that to be black. You don't hear that as a stereotype for black people, and it's like I want that stigma to change. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I feel you, but we can't, people are going to catch up. Some are going to be stuck in the mustard. You were talking about, the yoga. I'm not a yogi at all, but I do get down, and they do have it on Peloton, and I just do like 15 minutes at a time because, yoga is kind of like, if you've ever done Billy Blanks. You look at Billy Blanks, they're like, man, I'm gonna do this Billy Blanks. What Billy Blanks got on me? And then you get into like a yoga or even a bar class, and you say, man, I'm getting whooped right now. TRX or something is whooping me. Like, how is this yoga whooping me? And I'm a pretty flexible cat, but it can have you start sweating, and depending on what you're doing. So I'm taking it very slow because I want to get up to Russell Simmons status on the yoga. And just be in meditation for hours, but I'm not there yet at all. I'm nowhere close. So I get you. I definitely get you.
But it's not even like, it's not even like within like doing it for hours, because I'm not even at that stage. I wouldn't say I'm like there. But with Kundalini yoga specifically, you don't have to be at a certain like fitness level. There's so many things that you can do, and your body's gonna feel like you've never felt before. It's not a traditional yoga when you're doing poses or anything like that. I would encourage like anyone to do it. Kundalini, like search it up, Kundalini yoga, and do it for 15 minutes. If you don't feel a chemical like change in your body, you're mentally gonna feel happier, but just like fully embrace like whatever you're doing when you do it, whatever feelings that are coming up. Like I've had moments where I'm like uncontrollably crying, and as like men and just in general, you're told like you're not supposed to cry. And I think personally for myself, when I have those uncontrollable like crying outbursts, it's because I maybe have suppressed that, where I felt like I needed to cry and I just didn't do it.
Oh yeah. Let that out. You're gonna have me searching because I think I know and have experience, but I'm Nico on Peloton. I believe she has that. But I'm gonna be searching it up. If somebody hear about it or know something about it on Peloton, let me know. I'm gonna Google it anyway. But I'm just a big trying to get back into shape in case Mayweather is giving away some more millions to fight. I can be at the right weight to get right with them.
Yeah.
You talk about the surface stuff, and then going deep and in dating as a young person. And it's like, I'm in South Florida where, BBLs are everywhere. You might bump into somebody in line and be like, what was that hard booty? Like, why was it so hard? And then you think, oh, that was a cement, buttocks. How important are you and people, do you think in your age, putting on looks? Because the scriptures say beauty fades. And having done life with somebody for 20 years, knowing her from college and still having friends from, back in the day, I'm like, man, we all look pretty good, but are people putting more on the looks than the vibe of the person? And if something happens to you, God forbid, that person will actually be in the hospital to at least, tell the doctors, keep them going. Like, where's the shallowness in the ages of, the young 20s right now?
I would say I think it's gone worse because of social media, Instagram, even the dating apps. Like I've been on the dating apps like Hinge, Tinder, and the first thing that you're looking at is the way someone looks. And like 9 times out of 10, they don't look exactly how they look in those photos, regardless. And as you said, beauty is gonna fade. But I think, truthfully speaking, you want someone that you're physically attracted to. You need some sort of a balance. I think personally, I'd be lying to you if I didn't think my girlfriend was pretty, like in some
Yeah,
sort
we
of
wouldn't want you
facet.
to
Like,
say that. We wouldn't want you to say that at all. Like, no, I don't care what she looked like. Nah, I don't want you to say that.
exactly.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
man.
that'd be a lie. And anyone who says that is not like probably lying to you, like completely. But I do agree. Like you need to have deeper conversations, just in life in general. And like I went through this training. It was an emotional intelligence training, 2020 October, and it's basically you diving into like who Kellen is as a person, and then like going into your childhood traumas, and they just ask you. So you do it in a group of people, and you're interacting with this group, and they eventually just become your family, and you connect on such a deeper level, just because of the questions that are asked, like you opening up and just trusting these other people that you're doing this training with, and you get in tune with like why do I behave in a certain way, and like because sometimes like we have the story that we tell ourselves, like Kellen is this type of person, like you have this identity and you like hold on to this identity and you want to hold on to it forever, but it doesn't, you don't need to let go of it. But I don't know what I forgot what this one quote was, but this, your identity and ego and pride, like all these things can be the death of you, because you'll fight so hard to maintain and withhold this energy. So it's like if Kellen is this rich man, he's been perceived as this rich man, and like you're not, like people go through like ego deaths, and that is their whole world, and that's how they saw themselves. So it's like you got to be able to just accept that that might not be your reality anymore, and not being attached to that identity, because pride kills people all the time on the daily, and it's just frustrating. So again, the open mindedness, I love when people tell me I'm wrong, because it's like it's an opportunity for me to learn. That's how I look at it. And a lot of people don't view it the same way. Or even like when I'm being challenged, quote unquote, like confrontation is good. It teaches you how to debate, and just you're not getting a surface level response, and you're diving deeper. As I said before, you're going to get to the root of who this person is. And yeah, I just love that.
I like
type
that.
of conversation. Yeah.
I like that. And I like that you did it in a training, which, maybe it was for work, maybe it wasn't. Dealing in mental health for a decade, I went to many trainings, and the best one that I can think of was a verbal jujitsu class, because dealing with people who, addicts, and kids who are addicts, and they're trying to still figure it out. But knowing what addiction looks like, because you're like, I grew up in the 80s. I know what that looks like. You want something, and I want you off of it because I really want you on this business and this money. Like that's my drug, business. And how do we make someone money? Because I don't want you to clock in the rest of your life. But you said pride kills. Let's go to Proverbs, people. Pride. Then comes the disgrace. You will be humbled if you're full of pride. How people look at me, and this is a problem for some, I could care less. Like, you want people to respect you, but when they say, hey, how much money did you guys make last year? One, I'm from Oakland. We ain't make nothing. What you talking about? What are you talking about that I make something? You trying to take it? But I'm never caught up in my position or my titles, because tomorrow I could go, open up a trucking company or even work for a trucking company if the right opportunity came, and I still have my CDL from when I had a trucking company, and before that was in the oil field, and before that shuffling dirt, before that working for Pepsi for a couple months because nobody would hire a new driver. But I tell people, especially young people, if you want to make money, I had a master's degree and plenty of debt until I jumped in the oil field in the worst part of my life thus far. Hopefully it'll be the worst ever. But I made $10,000 minimum, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And if we stayed an extra, couple days, the checks are looking even sweeter. If you want to stay a month, even sweeter.
So what were you doing? What were you doing in the oil business?
Saber Energy. We were titrating water to put the scientific point on it, because I wasn't that good in science. So I said, titrating water, I'm on it, right? But we were basically cleaning the water on the frac pad so everybody else could be pumping and killing this earth. And shout out to my friend Vitaly, who put me on. We went to truck driving school together, and he was like, I just like you, and I think if you're only making that money over there. He was showing me $20,000 checks he was making, and doing it with ease. They call it an old man's oil field job, but really you just have to know that it exists. Anyone listening out there, Saber Energy, you can Google it and you can do your homework. It's not difficult. You need a CDL and you need to be able to, put the liquid in the beaker. Now you are driving a bomb. Driven wrong will blow up and you probably won't be here, but that's why you go through the training. And that amount of money getting it, and I only was able to do it for a short time, but I was able to buy my own truck and I was able to do my own thing at the right time and pay some bills that had to be paid. So there's plenty of ways of making money. It's not about the money. It's about your purpose and what you want to do for the short term. What we're doing now with my wife and I, we talked about in Grambling 20 years ago doing. We had those conversations. We were in therapy 20 years ago. She's like, hey, I got to go see a therapist. Will you come with me? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I probably need one, but I'm Black. I ain't trying to go up in there, and just learning. And now I have a therapist. I can't wait to talk to him. Every week. I can't wait. But it's plenty. Like, never get caught up in this is what I'm doing. Because McDonald's, 2 days at McDonald's. I only lasted 2 days, y'all. So sad. But I've had like people go on my LinkedIn, they're like, why do you put all those jobs? Just put the stuff that sounds sexy. I don't want to just show you that. I want to show you the struggle, because I didn't know how I was going to get here. I just knew if I kept pushing. And now I read books that say, just get better, 1%, 1%. I don't want to work for anybody the rest of my life. Okay, learn how to make $3,000 a month and let it, just be on auto. Then learn how to do it again and again. Learn what Bitcoin was. Learn what crypto was. We only got into crypto, and I don't talk about like the ins and outs of crypto because the rules keep changing, but we got into crypto because we didn't have no money. And we couldn't, on our parents' card, if they even gave us a card, we couldn't order everything we wanted. So you had to use the school's power. I'm not going to say which school. And you had to mine and do your thing. And you had to learn what the proxy was and the dark web was, because some things you could only get on the dark web. And it wasn't just murder or drugs. I'm not a customer in that way. No bueno.
That's interesting. But like you speaking about all the different things that you did, it goes to what I was saying of traveling, because even traveling within itself, like you doing those things came with like putting in like a lot of mental effort, or what other people would perceive as a lot of mental effort and a lot of hard work and a lot of struggle. But the reason why I always like speak about travel and going back to travel is it teaches you that in itself. Like if I go to like Dallas, Texas right now, if I go to Alabama right now, I'm going to be I'm going to be placed in a different environment. I'm going to have different conversations that I'm having compared to LA. And that in of itself is going to teach me a new type of skill and a new way to adapt. And I think that people like would view travel that way, and just go out in public today and just like, instead of you going to the grocery store and not speaking to anyone. Like, speak to the teller lady that you probably see a couple of times. Like, ask her about like what's going on now, or just like ask her about her family. I remember there was this teller lady, and I'm definitely gonna do this one day because it blew my mind that she was still like working there. I said I was gonna give her crypto. Speaking about that, like XRP, because she was telling me about it. I'm like, yeah, tell me about it. And I like knew about like what she was saying, and she's like, oh, my son's into this, and I'm like, I'm gonna come back here, and if you're still working here, I will give you $5,000 in like XRP. I don't know. I love like doing that type of stuff. And this was like in an old like neighborhood that I stayed in LA. I don't know what made me go to that Ralph's, but I went back to that Ralph's, and she was there, and I'm like, she was there like 3 years before, like doing the exact same job, and it's like an older lady too. And I'm just like, for me, that in itself, I'm like, I personally would not want my grandma to be like doing that, like not putting up with that, but just be within that struggle. Because I asked her like, what's your dream, or like, what do you want to, like, if you could travel anywhere, where would it be? And she was telling me like the Bahamas, and she hasn't had the money to do it. And I'm just like that right there. I'm like, I would love to change that for everyone, because a lot of people haven't traveled, and I've been blessed with the opportunity to travel to, like, right there I have like this world map. It's like a scratch map of like different places that I've been to, and like anyone who comes to my room, it's like I've been to 12, I think over 20 countries maybe now, I don't know. But and they see that and they're like, damn, like that's cool. Even like when I look at it, I'm like, damn, like that in it of itself is experience. And I want people to do that, like experience the world more, because I know what it's done for me in my perspective. And like, for example, when I go to Nigeria, or just when I go to Africa in general, I'm blessed with the fact, like, so I'll speak to what my dad does. Like in Nigeria, there's things called load shedding and like power outages that happen. Power outages people would be more familiar with, and you have to use a generator. Americans, for the most part, have never heard of like what a generator is, or turning on a generator and consuming electricity. Like probably right now, I have my fan going on right now. I don't know how many watts of energy that is, but literally there's people that will use that amount of energy consistently to power on their lights for the whole day, and that's all they're using just to do their homework, like little stuff like that. And when I hear stories of people doing that, then I come back to America, I'm like, I can go in the bathroom and literally drink out of my tap water. In Nigeria, you can't go and drink out of your tap water freely because you have to use bottled water. Like little stuff like that. It's like putting game on that. But it's like, I can, like our house in Nigeria, we can do that because my dad like used like borehole water for himself. And it's like, he's self-efficient like now. And his company right now, he has like a few, but like one of his main companies is a solar energy like company, and it combines like wind turbines and solar panels. And the house like right now in Lagos is like fully efficient. We don't need the government power, which is NEPA. That's like the power, the government power company. That's what it's called. We're fully like, he's fully self-efficient. Like we don't need the government. Like if there was a crisis happening in the world, we'd be fine. Like in terms of electricity and all of that.
But that works in Africa. In America, what sucks, and correct me if I'm wrong, because not every place is different, but you remember the pictures I showed you on WhatsApp for the project we're building? We can do solar on like one part of the house, but we'd have to flip the whole roof, right? But solar in Africa, you're off the grid. Here in America, in your neighborhoods, if you want to do solar, they're telling you, you know, it starts at $40,000 and you still have to be on the grid. So you're never fully off. So I'm like, why would you even do that? Yeah, why would you even do that? And America's ripping you off, where in Africa, you're just, hey, I'm doing me. You know, in the borehole, you can give that water away too, folks. God gave it to us. It cost you maybe 3,000, 3,500 at most to put it. Help the neighbors when they need water. I'm just throwing that out there because that's not a big project to do. Government should really be, let me watch what I say. Government should really be telling, hey, who wants to do a good project? Who wants to, uplift your people, even if it's just in your neighborhood? Because those are the things that me and mine and people I know are doing. Let's make a borehole for the community. Let's give them water. It's water. And that's how we make sure we don't get robbed where we go, right? Whether it's doing good deeds, if you believe, in karma, or if it's just the plug doesn't get got because you are the plug. Even the gangsters understand that. Even the idiot knows, man, if I do something to him, my mama might not be able to get water tomorrow. That alone, I might not like him. He might have talked to my girlfriend in a way that made her smile, but that's what it is. And we should do more of that.
But the reason why I bring up like the solar, and I'm not saying it wouldn't work out in America. I think people overuse electricity and we forget how, like, that's not common in the rest of the world. Like generally, most of the world, that's not a given. And for us in most of America, that's a given, like for the way most people are living. And like those little things that you take for granted, people complain. I don't know. It's like people complaining about just so many things that I could get into. You just take for granted the smallest things, but it's like also understanding, especially for Black people in America, like Black Americans, understanding how beautiful Africa is and how many resources are out there. And if we people, and I'm saying this now, and people may go back and look at this exact interview and maybe be inspired by the change that I've created in the future. Because like one of my goals is to have it's going to be called Kaizen Foundation, and I want kids to just travel from like all walks of life and just have different experiences in that way. And because I think money isn't the root of all evil, but if everyone had like money or like the ability to create money for themselves in all different aspects of life, like literally, if I'm sure, I don't know if you heard of 419, like in Nigeria, like
it's not a crime, it's just a game.
Exactly. But it's like, if they were put on with different opportunities, how smart do you have to be? I don't know if you heard about the one like 419 scam where the guy sold someone a whole airport strip of land.
Are you talking about the real 419 or in the movie with Kim Owa when he tells the guy this is the airport and it's named after, and he's just giving him a whole bunch of so. In the airport in Nigeria, the president was dead by then, and he was saying how this is his friend, but I think it was an Indian man. But if that's the movie, I get it. But 419 didn't start in Nigeria, and it didn't start in Africa. I don't want to go there. But if y'all want to know, I'll tell you the slave trade and a whole bunch of other things that were 419. And they didn't, it did not start in Africa. But I'm saying like the people's ability to like think in like that many creative ways, and just the way that people are hustling out there, like it's on a different level. It's on a different level, and people's mentality, like, is so smart. So smart. Like I was speaking to someone who worked for my dad, and I was telling him about like all the software that I know, and like just like YouTube videos, like where I learned like so many things on the internet. And he's like, damn, like I wish I had like the gigabytes like to research the stuff online, because it's like internet isn't like a given like it is here, like unlimited data. Like I take that for granted all the time, and that's like something I was like, damn, like this guy's so smart. He
he's like building machines where he just like learned that off like secondhand knowledge. He wasn't an engineer or any of this stuff. But it's just, yeah, it's just opportunity.
I love that you answered my signature question of, what's your community give back. You just mentioned it. With how we're living and how we have internet at the tip of our fingertips all day. I remember when data was really expensive in South Africa. Some may argue and say it is still, but 15 years ago, it really sucked, especially trying to text Channel O, somebody happy birthday while watching Channel O. But what do you think once Nigeria gets internet like we have in America and it's fast, is there any stopping, one, Africans from going to the next level, two, for the rest of the world, even Black Americans to run to Africa to say, why would I not be here? This is the place to be. This is where you can have a conversation for hours with a stranger and even join your tables at the restaurant, and it's not looked at as weird or, oh man, you're too close. Like, what do you think about the future of Africa tech, especially Wi-Fi, everything that it's called throughout the world?
Yeah, I would say like Wi-Fi and specifically Nigeria and South Africa, like it's already, it's here. It's like, it's there. But I think the expense issue that you're talking about, it's like too expensive for the average person to actually like afford it and use it. But once it gets to and I'd also say this, everything that works, so it's like everything that works in America won't exactly work in Nigeria. And like we a lot of people try come in and implement things instead of speaking to the locals and try like integrating it. So it might not look like Uber. I'm just giving an example, like a transport system might not look exactly the same, but it'll be Zuta, or I don't know, like it's like some other name, but just it'll function a little bit differently. But I think with crypto and like the metaverse and just those opportunities that are on the internet, like you don't even have to show your face in this day and age, and you can make millions of dollars. There's people that are doing it now, so I think it's just endless. With all the opportunities that will be out there with tech in general, and again, that's why I'm understanding and learning advertising, so I can advertise for my dad's companies, like his solar energy company, and just like take it to the next level. Yeah, it's like it's all just kind of integrated.
But what I say, well, we're so spoiled because you could be homeless here in America and still be given a phone, Obama phones or whatever you want to call them, and then you can get the Wi-Fi off the Starbucks right outside, and it's not always, some phones in African countries are, somebody told me, they looked at my phone, they said, oh, we're going to get that next month or so. And I'm like, I've had this phone almost 2 years. Right. And this is, this is the new with the battery pack on it and all that. But if the homeless in the least of these, when they in Africa can then start live streaming, hey man, I might be homeless today, but check out your boy and and say it in all 11, 12 languages in one country like South Africa, it can change the game because you talk about millions, it's made people buku money. Not everybody. And you don't have to have a big crowd, I try to tell people, to make the money, because this conversation we have, and you're more than welcome to take this video and share it wherever you want on your platform. One person see it, the right person see it. Or I interview a millionaire every week on one of my platforms. I say, oh, that's my friend. We do business together when people ask. But I don't always let that stuff be known because I feel like too short sometimes. I ain't got to let you know everything I'm doing. I'm Al Heyman. I'm the young Al Heyman. I ain't got to let you know what I'm doing. I'm the Black Frank Sinatra. I'll let you know when I want you to know when I'm out and about. But I just see that we have to do all that we can to at least have our foots grounded For me, it's businesses because I'm older and I'm thinking about my kids, and I have to have footholds and homes that if something happens here in America, or if I just am tired of America, which I'm very close to just being tired when I'm not in the beautiful South Florida. I just get tired of dealing with and hearing all the drama, because it's not just that the racism, it's not just that. It's that some of our people who complain the most aren't even putting the work to make sure their index fund has anything in it. I talk to people, I'm not a financial counselor, but I am a business manager. And people say, how'd you learn about that? I said, because you can work at McDonald's and retire with $1 million in America if you structure your life right. Can't have 4 kids doing it. You can't have 4 kids working at McDonald's doing it, probably. But if you can structure your life, and that's what we do. We get people organized. And, I've never had to advertise my business. Not to say my business is, the best of anything, but to me, it's worked for my life. But I've never advertised. I've had magazine ads because we worked with the magazine and they chose to, we can't pay you everything you're asking for, but can we give you some ads? Cool. No problem. I love doing the work. That's what it's really about anyway. The money is like the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae. And it's like, we get paid for this? Where are we going? We going to Ethiopia? Oh, man, we get paid for this? Man, I'm about to ask all the priests the questions of why America and the West only has 66 Bibles, why they keep promoting Easter, and I can't find it in the Ethiopian Bible, which is the original. King James didn't create nothing. So I just that's where my mind goes when I get to travel, because I get to learn, like you mentioned.
Yeah, even like you speaking about that, my mom went to Spain, I think it was 2 years ago, with my brother. He's like a future soccer player. I'm gonna have him on my podcast, but future soccer player. And they went on a trip and they went to this museum. And Spain's famous for some of the cathedrals and just artwork that's in Spain. And some of the people and the kings in the Spanish museums, one of the ladies who was giving a tour to my mom and little brother, she was saying the paintings, these people were darker of complexion and they made them lighter. These are things that people still to this day dispute and aren't aware of. And they're like, oh, that doesn't matter. It matters. Why? This is why people have inferiority complexes and stigmas to certain things, because the history was changed. My dad told me this way long ago. History is his story, but it's whose story? Who actually told that story? Is it white man history? Because there's so many different. If me and you watch a crime that happened right in front of us, right here, let's say we were together and there was a crime that happened, I would explain it in my version based on my perspective and my beliefs, maybe who the person was, what they look like, what I've had in the past with that kind of person, or stigma, and I might get angrier. Yeah. So it's the way that people describe history has been changed, and even what's going on right now, during these times, how that's going to be described and differently portrayed is just so interesting. And I even the way I could go on, we need to speak about just news, and I don't know what you think about news and how Africa is portrayed, because it frustrates me how it's not fully, the beauty isn't being shown. Most people that think of Africa, they don't, one of my friends, I was telling him about the properties that you can get in South Africa or even just in Nigeria, and they look amazing. 10 million rand, which if you convert that, divide by 15 in the US dollar, I think that's probably $500,000. You can get mansions in South Africa for that price. And as I you were speaking to me about property, I think we had a call before this, and now I'm looking into getting myself property, because it's there's just so many opportunities in Africa to build even if you had to get a store, Airbnb, and just like sit on your property, you could buy property for $5,000, $10,000. And this is like things that people don't know. And like truly invest in Africa. I would encourage people to travel and go there, because it's every time I go back to Africa, I'm just like, I know I'm gonna be at home and just welcomed, like fully genuinely welcomed. Yeah. Even though,
and
like,
with that,
yeah,
with that, I can't give them too much game because I need them to go to the cultured YouTube, and I needed them to see everything that you have there. There was a video you had on there. Oh, it struck me. What was it? It was the video, homeless for a day.
oh yeah,
I'm not gonna talk about it here. I'm not. I'm with that. People are gonna have to go see that video. It's, we joke about stuff like that, or we say, you know what, one day we're gonna jump on the train and just see where it goes. You guys, I want you guys to check it out. I know the best conversation usually happens off air, but that's just because I relax, don't want to get my guests canceled. I can't be canceled. Y'all can't cancel me. I feel so free. I can say whatever I want. But if nothing else, look in the description box if you're not already watching this on the cultured YouTube, because anybody can take this, do what you want. The game is to be shared. That's what we're supposed to do. I got to talk to my young bruv off air because I got to have y'all just go check out his YouTube. A good storyteller always keeps them wanting more. Y'all be blessed.